Hello there, crafters. Today we are looking at a passage from 2 Samuel chapter 6. Now, there's some unusual things going on here, but our focus is going to be how we can worship and celebrate God, and how we don't worry about what other people are thinking, but our audience is the Lord. So, we are going to make a couple of crafts to celebrate this scene where David is triumphantly returning into Jerusalem with the Ark of the Covenant, and he's dancing wildly, so much so, in fact, that his clothes are falling off. Now, you can, of course, choose to skip over the part about his clothes falling off because we want children to keep their clothes on in church, but we are going to make a fun craft that involves that. Our first craft is going to be a dancing David. Now, could you make a dancing David that includes paper doll elements where his clothes come off? Yes, you could, but please refrain from that temptation because we're just going to make David dancing. So, we're going to start out by drawing a person. Now, you could print off a template as well if that's easier for you, but we are going to draw our David still with his clothing on. And so I'm going to make this fairly large. I don't always do great with my balance of spacing, but we'll do our best here. So we're going to start off with David's face here. And he's got a very happy face because he's dancing for the Lord. So here's David. And we're going to we're going to put a little tambourine in his hand because he's so excited. And the other hand's going to be kind of just celebrating here. And we're going to kind of give him a coat because we're going to also showcase his pants to an extent here. Now, did he probably have pants? Not necessarily, but you'll see what's happening here. So here's his happy little tambourine. And then down below here, we're going to kind of act like he's got sort of almost a skirt, short kind of thing happening. And that's so we can see how his legs are happily moving. So he's going to just be jumping for joy almost. He's got one of his legs behind him like this. And then his other leg is sort of in front of him like this. He's sort of running slash jumping slash dancing. You get the idea. So here is our David. Now, of course, we can fill in some fun details here. I'm going to do some quick coloring. Of course, I don't want you here watching me color all day, so it's not going to be the most detailed work of art, but please feel free to do more with your audience and let them go to town. Again, if this were more accurate, I might just have one long robe, but for what I'm doing, which you'll see momentarily, it's just a little easier to have him sort of in shorts and a shirt, which would not be period accurate, but we're gonna roll with it. So here's my David, my dancing David. He's not quite dancing yet, but let's make him dance. So I'm going to cut this guy out, and then, oh, by the way, I'm using cardstock for this because it's a little bit thicker, but you can use just regular construction paper or whatever you've got. If you want it to be really thick, you could use a thicker cardstock, even cardboard, but that would get tricky for the next part that I'm about to demonstrate. But use whatever works best and whatever you have available. So we've got David cut out here. Now, how are we going to make him dance? Well, I'm so glad you asked. We are going to cut him in half. Don't worry, it'll be fine. We're going to cut him in half, And then I'm going to just kind of cut right along his torso and legs there. But don't worry, he won't remain that way. I've got a brad fastener, and I'm going to carefully poke that through. Now he has kind of a shiny belt. And poke it through where his legs are. And now we will see him dance. So, I've got the fastener there. I'm not going to do it, we don't want to do it super tight. Just tight enough so that his legs can move. Da, 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 da. And now you have a dancing David. But we're not quite done because, I mean, while you can just have David randomly dancing in the middle of nowhere, we're going to put him on a little bit of a backdrop here. So you can get elaborate with this if you wish to. You can draw like streets of Jerusalem and the crowds, or you can simply do what I'm going to do because I don't want to take up too much more time on this, and I'm going to say David danced before the Lord. Worship God with gladness. And again, you don't necessarily have to include the backdrop, but it's kind of fun and gives you something to put David on here. I'm going to give the verse reference here. 2 Samuel chapter 6. And now you can, if you want to really have fun, you can slice a slit through the top of the paper and run David along with your hand, or if you'd rather just have him dance in place, you can glue or tape him to your paper. And then you've got your happy dancing David. So that is craft number 1. Craft number 2, in honor of the fact that when they entered town with this Ark of the Covenant, they were playing music. We are going to make a little musical instrument of our own. So we are going to make a tambourine. I've got a couple of paper plates. I've got some streamers and decorations, and I've got some elements to make the music happen. So we are going to start off by decorating the outside of my plate. Now, I encourage you to decorate both of your plates. I, for timing purposes right now, am just going to decorate one, so we're not here forever. But we're going to decorate this plate. So we can say something like, worship God with music. And then we could reference the story as well. David played for the Lord. 2 Samuel chapter 6. And then I'm going to throw on a few more fun little embellishments here. And they don't always want to stick, but again, you can make this as elaborate as you choose. I'm just going to do a couple of basic things so that we're not here all day. Then we are going to make this into a lovely musical instrument. So, how are we going to do that? Well, I'm so glad that you asked. We are going to put some dry materials inside my paper plate, and that's going to make fun noises when we shake it. Now, you can use a variety of options here. You can use dried rice, or dried beans, or beads, or I happen to have some oh so sophisticated pasta noodles that I'm going to use. Anything basically that can make a fun crinkly sound when placed between two paper plates. Anything of that nature will do. So we're going to add my crinkly things, and then we're going to staple it all together. I'm also going to, these gems just, they're not sticking. I'm also going to put some streamers down. So here I've got my second plate with my noodles, and I'm going to run some streamers to kind of add to that fun tambourine look. So I'm just going to cut a couple of these to make it even more festive. And you can glue them down, you don't have to, because now we're going to staple it all together. So we're going to put my next plate on top of the first one, and we're going to staple this. And I recommend kind of going, well, depending especially on how small the items you have are. If you've got something like little tiny beans or something, then you want to really do a lot of staples. I don't think these noodles are going to escape too easily, so just every couple inches should be fine for me. And if you want to, you can also put this on like a popsicle stick or something if you want to be able to hold it up easier. That's up to you. But now we have our music maker. Just like David played going down those streets, we've got a wonderful shaker tambourine, which is currently being drowned out by the sound of a thunderstorm outside in case you hear strange rumbling. But tambourine fun and dancing David and a couple of crafts to celebrate our worship of God and to remember how David worshipped before the Lord. As always, just a couple of options. Feel free to take it, run with it, have fun with it, use it, adapt it. Hopefully it's a blessing to you and your ministry wherever and with whomever that might be. Now, go make some crafts, make some disciples, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.